learn the process. Don't start buying wounded businesses. Go through the process, buy a business that's in good shape first, learn the ropes, make your own SOPs, your buying SOPs, your growth SOPs, all that stuff before you start going to the wounded waters. All right, so let's talk about the due diligence framework. This is one of the most important things if you're going to buy a business. It defines your whole journey, because if you mess this up, you are going to be in a lot of pain down the road, most likely. So there is 2 steps I'm going to be talking about on this, and then I want to talk about a newbie mistake, which is that number 3 on aggressive ROI. And the first step is defining your criteria. What do you want? What are you looking for? Do you want a $2 million Amazon FBA business with 5 products? Great, you kind of know what you want then. Now this is very personal. There's no one size fits all. People ask me, like, what's the best business to buy? Like, whatever one you're good at running, right? Like, it like, kind of goes hand in hand. So your personal criteria needs to match your skill sets, your desires, and what kind of goals you want. Every now and then I get people that come to our marketplace and they're like, why would you sell this website that has a Google penalty? That's lowering the quality of the marketplace. What they don't realize is it lowers the quality in their eyes because it doesn't fit their criteria. But this guy over here, all he does is come to our marketplace to buy these sites with Google penalties. Why does he do that? Because he knows how to fix it. So he's able to grow it on, ride that equity on the way up, buying these businesses that are a bit wounded, right? So you need to define your own criteria. It's going to be very personal to you. Remember, brokers, we don't do due diligence, we do vetting. Due diligence is something a buyer has to do. So once you have your criteria, it's now time to create those series of profitable checklists. I recommend 3. So the first one is something that you can use as broad strokes that allows you to disqualify a business in 3 to 5 minutes. You shouldn't be spending any more time on a business than 3 to 5 minutes on your first checklist. So this is something that can be very broad. Is it Amazon FBA? Is it worth at least $2 million? Is there 5 products? Great, let's go deeper. It doesn't have to be complex. It's just used as a tool to help you filter. The next checklist might be diving deeper into traffic sources, into product sources, revenue channels, all that type of stuff, right? And again, that's going to be up to you. I recommend making that second deeper dive checklist somewhere around your strength. So if you are a PPC guru, then that checklist will probably be a lot about checking about PPC, right? If you're a supply chain ninja, then that's probably what you're going to want to look at deeper, right? Now the third checklist is one that's more malleable. It changes with almost every deal you look at, because usually this is the one where you will actually talk to the seller. Remember, we're trying to save time, right? So the third checklist is when you actually, like, hey, let's set up a call. I have some questions. What happened in September? Was it a stock? Like, why did the stock out happen? You know? And often there's a good reason. If the seller is a good seller, they took notes as to why that was, but that often doesn't happen, so they'll have to remember what happened as well. But that is usually when you would talk to the seller. Now, I want to talk about the newbie mistake that a lot of people made. And in fact, I just talked about the guy that a lot of the newbies want to be, the guy buying the Google penalty sites. I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. I want the best ROI. I'm going to buy these wounded businesses, right? It's a good strategy. I'm not going to lie, this is the best strategy, buying a business that's distressed that you know how to fix. But the key is know how to fix. Because a lot of new business buyers, they get, like, I'm going to get the most amazing deal in the world. And when they say amazing deal in the world, it's usually the lowest price, right? And the issue is they don't know how to fix the issues. They don't know how to fix the Google penalty, the supply chain issues. So now they just spent $300,000, $400,000 on a business that's still going to decline because they have no idea what they're doing. This is a bad move. Don't do this. It is much better to buy a business at a premium valuation that is a high quality business. Yes, you're not going to make the insane ROI, but you likely weren't going to make the insane ROI anyways because you might not know how to fix it, right? So learn the process. Don't start buying wounded businesses. Go through the process, buy a business that's in good shape first, learn the ropes, make your own SOPs, your buying SOPs, your growth SOPs, all that stuff, before you start going to the wounded waters. That is where the real money is made, of course. Just don't start there yet. It's dangerous. So remember, the #1 rule of due diligence, of the Due Diligence Framework, is to disqualify businesses as fast as you can, so you can move on to the next deal, and then on to the next deal, all to get you closer to the one that meets your criteria as perfectly as possible. And I said perfectly as possible because perfect doesn't exist. There's always going to be something that is wrong, that doesn't totally match up with what you want, and that's okay. Just look for something that hits around 90%, right? All right, let's talk about scaling to the moon and back. Like I said, I don't need to teach you guys this. You guys already know how to do this, but this is will give you a bit of a foundation. So when you're buying a business, start with a foundation that's already laid, because there's usually a lot of good stuff already there. Number one is traffic. So most entrepreneurs I see that sell their business, they tend to be a one-person show with maybe a scattering of VAs. Maybe they have a small team, but usually not very big. So this means they're really good at one thing, and they're okay at like 2 to 3 things, and they're really bad at like 6 things, and they know they're bad at it. They'll tell you usually. Like, I wish I was better at this. Drives me nuts. Usually the things that drive them nuts is the things you can fix to help make the business better. But the good place to first start looking is traffic. So optimizing their different traffic channels, whether it's Amazon PPC, Facebook ads, usually there's more work that can be done there. Usually you can also do a lot of stuff with CRO as well. And then after you do traffic, you can move into the supply chain. You try to optimize that. And then the big one here, before you buy the business, if you're buying an e-commerce business, get them to liquidate their dead SKUs that are not making any money. You don't want that. And also look at their SOPs, their standard operating procedures, and tweak them, because sometimes they need to be updated, right? But the big one here is pricing. So if you're buying an e-commerce business, a SaaS business, an infocourse business, whatever, most entrepreneurs undercharge. They don't charge what they're valued at. And because of this, there's usually a lot of room to lift that price up.